It gives us immense pleasure to welcome Dr. Sangeeta Rajput, Director of IIMS, Professor Akanksha Tong, Director Placement, esteemed panel speakers, faculty members, and my dear friends, to the inaugural ceremony of Industry Academia Interface of 2021. To begin with this auspicious occasion, I would like to invite Dr. Sangeeta Rajput, Dr. Professor Akanksha Tong, and distinguished panelists to invoke the Almighty by lighting the auspicious lamp. And I would request Anjali Vaishnav to please come forward and recite the Saraswati Vandana. Ladies and gentlemen, I request you to please stand for the invocation. Thank you. Please take your seat. Now I request Mr. Mandar Khare, Mr. Sumit Jadhav, Mr. Anuj Nagpal, Ms. Cleopatra Dupuna, and Dr. Sangeeta Rajput and Professor Akanksha Tong to take their seat on the dais. Pleasure to welcome our panel speakers, Mr. Mandar Khare, Mr. Sumit Jadhav, Mr. Anuj Nagpal, Ms. Cleopatra Dupuna, and moderator Sangeeta Rajput on the dais. The topic of the panel discussion is pandemic and the marketing lessons learned. So let's introduce our panelists. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Mandar Khare, the Director General Manager of Reddington India. Mr. Mandar Khare, pleased to Director General Manager at Reddington India Limited with sheer hard work and dedication over the past 16 years and over 25 years of his career experience, having in-house channel and distribution understanding, has successfully developed and executed channel strategies for some of the leading IT companies in India associated with Reddington India. He played a crucial role in identifying and recruiting new partners for many vendors, managed large teams to work execution of plans, and achieving the goals consistently. He developed many young leaders within the team to take up new opportunities and challenges. Successfully established vendor and channel ecosystem for a win-win situation, ensured the widespread of the company in towns and villages across the region when hardly anyone had thought of reaching earlier. Last but not the least, he is having a track record of man of the world for the commitment and honesty. among channels or vendors associated over years. I would like to request student coordinator to felicitate Mr. Mandar Khare.
Thank you, Ankita and Abhay. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Anuj Nagpal, Regional Supply Head, Swiggy Pune. Mr. Anuj Nagpal is the Regional Supply Head at Swiggy, one of the fastest growing startups in India. In his previous role at Swiggy, he has handled Swiggy private brands and cloud kitchen business, along with overall growth of Swiggy. He has handled the overall brands including ATL, BTL, campaign strategies, strategic alliances, etc. Earlier, he was the MD and CEO of Caterpillar India, a marketing and training company. He started with an objective of transforming individuals and businesses from caterpillar to butterfly. Prior, he had a brief stint in marketing at Nissan Motors, India. He has also been viewed on ET Now, Bloomberg, and CNBC for his excellence in marketing and public speaking. Now, I would like to request the student coordinator to felicitate Mr. Anuj Nagpal.
Thank you, Ankita and Abhay. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Sumit Jadhav, Head of Business Operations of Udan, erstwhile General Manager of Marketing at Top of Pune. Mr. Sumit Jadhav holds a bachelor and master degree in mechanical engineering, honors and minor in entrepreneurship from IIT Hyderabad. While at IIT Hyderabad, he contributed in building foundation of PUR Energy Private Limited. The startup is now aimed at becoming a leading electrical vehicle manufacturer in India. He started his professional career with Amazon in 2015 and was instrumental in managing the largest fulfillment center of India at the time, responsible for managing nearly 17% of pan-India deliveries with a task force as high as 2,300 people strong. After 3 years at Amazon, he had taken the new responsibilities as he managed the operations at Flipkart, large operations across India. He was responsible for the execution of the categories monthly 900 crore gross merchandise value operations spread across the two-tier supply chain of 33 warehouses throughout the country. In 2019, he took up the responsibility of sales and marketing at Topper as a general manager for the Pune, instrumental in setting up new product lines at Topper school operating system and taking the daily active user base from a mere 15,000 to a staggering 30 lakh warehouse in a span of just 6 months from launch. Mr. Sumit is now leading the business operations of Udan, business to business retail aggregator for the pharma category. The category has grown to 50 crore monthly gross merchandise value in just 1 year of inception and aimed at being the largest business to business aggregator in the country. Now I would like to request the student coordinator to felicitate Mr. Sumit Jadhav.
Thank you, Ankita and Abhay. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Cleopatra Dakuna, Manager Branding and Corporate Communications, FM Logistics, India. She started her career as a marketing and communication professional after completing her Masters in Business Administration from the Mumbai University. Throughout her career, she had worked with some of the most prestigious brands in the industry, like the Asian Heart Institute, Kiran Jain, Solar Power, and FM Logistics. In her current position at FM Logistics India, she is heading the branding and communications department. Her colleagues describe her as a fun-loving team player. Now, I would like to request the student coordinator to facilitate Ms. Cleopatra Dapoor.
Thank you again, Ankita. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Sangeeta Rajput. I guess everyone knows her. Dr. Sangeeta Rajput is currently working as director in IIMS. She has served in corporate for 6 years at different levels and having more than 12 years of academic experience in very renowned organizations. Her other areas of interest are in marketing field, and she has also worked as Pune University panel member for marketing subjects for several years. She has published several research in record journals and presented research papers in national and international conferences, including Hiroshima, Japan, IIM Kolkata, and IIM Indore. She has been awarded Best Employee in 2010 and Best Faculty for consecutive 3 years. She has been also awarded as Excellence in Foreign Language Award. I would like to request student coordinator to felicitate Dr. Sangeeta Rao.
Thank you for the nice introduction. I think that is a felicitation to their body. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Now I would like to request Mr. Mandar Khare, Director General Manager of Reddington, India, to address this event.
Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
So good morning. I don't know after how long time without my time, without Mark time speaking. Yes, I guess today's subject is pandemic and marketing, right? So maybe I'll give few thoughts before we get into the panel discussion. And while coming to the college, I saw one board of Kaka Halwai sweet shop. Most of you know the Kaka Halwai, right? Especially from Pune, if you go to the same shop at Tilak Road, you will not find any board or any advertisement at all. But in the just nearby shop, there was advertisement. There are the sweets for the gold season kind of thing, other halwa. So imagine the change in the marketing required as per the situation. If you are famous at some place, you don't require the marketing. But possibly when you are not that famous or you require the still marketing to be done at certain areas, you need to do. Irrespective how old you are into the business, irrespective how you are established. Maybe someone can talk about same thing about Chennai. A few years back, they were not having any franchise. Nowadays they have the franchises also. So I guess marketing is all about adopting the changes. It's all about just getting it to use to the situations and maybe reacting to that. In pandemic also we have learned, I guess, everyone in the same fashion. For specifically the industry which I am coming from, which is IT industry, definitely it was for us it was advantage in disguise being into the information technology because due to pandemic, a lot of work, a lot of learning, and I have seen partners or many shoppers who have changed their business overnight. Even in our vicinity, there were into the your paper industry. They were selling the papers, your white papers to the industries and to the retail. So obviously that was a shutdown for them, or there was a maybe decrease into the business. They immediately overnight shifted to the industry of sanitizers, supplying to those same industries. Instead of supplying the papers, they started supplying the sanitizers. It is just the thought process. You need not to be worried about what is happening around you. You need to find the opportunity. Maybe need to consider any challenges, how it can be converted into the opportunity. So I guess that is a basic thought for any marketing into whether it is a pandemic or not pandemic. And I'm sure you would always refer to it as an individual in your personal life also. Whenever there is anything adverse happens, it's how we react, right? It's not about what is the challenge, how big the challenge is. The same happens for the your careers or your organizations also. Organizations have to take maybe certain corrective measures for that period. They will have to find out how I can adopt this because the question or some points were that whether the pandemic is going to last for how many years, whether the vaccination will happen, whether we will become the new normal or today's discussion we are saying that I think the new normal has become the normal now. So we have to just adopt it. I don't think so. Beyond that, somebody has to think about pandemic. There would be a challenges like this. If not in last 100 years we have faced such kind of thing. There can be something else also coming up in the next future. We are have to be ready as our mindset. So I always prefer this sentence when I go to any such events or any occasions, which I always wanted to make sure, specifically at the student level, to imbibe this thought process. There is always called as a power of mind. I guess there is nothing better than any marketing strategies or any communication strategies that what our mind can communicate or our mind can market. So if all of us learn how to nurture our mind, if all of us learn how to take the advantage of the power of our mind, the rest of the things falls under the place and we find a way out. Like in your current scenarios also, you might also, many of you might have brought into the discussion what will happen to the career, whether we will go back to the college or not, what will happen to the campus interview, whether the companies will come or not. But there is always a light at the tunnel, and if you are strong at your mind, if you believe that there will be a solution to every problem, I'm sure all of us find that solution. So I will just give that message to all of you, and looking forward for the panel and then. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your motivation, sir. Now I would like to request Mr. Anuj Nagpal, Regional Supply Head of Swiggy Pune, to address the gathering.
The camera is not on. I'll probably prefer it here. Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Okay, I think fantastic. As rightly Mandar sir said, I think it's been a while after attending a marriage of 50 people that I'm seeing a crowd of 100 here. Right? So I think it's immaculate when people are tying a knot with 50 people, there's a college who is coming together and getting 100 people inside a room. I think it's hats off to what your college has done. I think it's just continuation of what Mr. Mandar said. While even I was driving, and I was just going through some of the housing societies that are there in Hinjewadi along with a few shops. Out of every 10-15 shops, I could find one banner which said, shop available for rent. And I said, hang on, there was something I was looking at data in all of these 12 months, looking at Hinjewadi, that why aren't orders of Swiggy growing? And it was triggering that about 40% of restaurants in India had actually shut down. Because it was one of the most impactful industries during COVID. And by the way, the food and beverage industry is the biggest generator of employment in India, with about 7.7 million people on paper getting employed in India and contributing to 3% of GDP. It's that big. And all of a sudden, you found that about 30-40% of restaurants were never open across India. And that was the impact, and I could see the impact by just driving these 10 kilometers from Bane to Hinjewadi. So, there are three messages that I would want to give. In continuation of what he said, be flexible, right, and agile. Because, say, a restaurant like Domino's, post 7 days when COVID struck us, they started selling ITC products like Ashirwad on Domino's app. A pizza delivery chain, a worldwide leader of pizza delivery chain, started selling Ashirwad atta to Indian customers. That's the pinnacle of flexibility, right? And mind you, that is the chain which got back to pre-COVID business the fastest across India. It was one of the fastest chains to get to pre-COVID business, just because of the flexibility that the team was inherited with. Second, to come out of this pandemic, people wanted social proof. When we did a research as an organization as to why aren't people ordering food, of course, some of the common problems were hygiene. मेरे को COVID ना हो जाए. What if that delivery boy is carrying? What if he's infected? All of those things were coming as reasons for not ordering food. But the underlying message was something else. What will my parents think? Number one. What will my neighbors think? कि मैं बाहर से खाना मंगवाने लग गया हूं. And that was the trigger of this industry coming back. And that is why you realize we chose IPL, which is one of the biggest revelations that the world has seen. That Swiggy came back to IPL and said, the Gulab Jamun wale uncle said, 1 crore log abhi order karne lag gaye hain, to aap kya wait kar rahe ho? It required a social validation that agar 1 crore logon ne chalu kar diya hai, then what am I waiting for? And that is when it just took us 2 months post IPL to get back to pre-COVID business. Right? So it required a social validation by each one of us. Agar mera dost kar raha to fir main kar sakta. Or in some guy's language, meri girlfriend kar rahi to kar sakta. So a social validation was required. And last, before we get to the panel discussion, all the investments that had gone historically for brands, be it Domino's, be it Pizza Hut, be it McDonald's, when I was starting or when I was regaining my ability to order food, what is the first brand that I wanted to go to? Probably McDonald's. McDonald's in the first week or the weeks after was doing more business than pre-COVID on online. So much confidence in that brand. अगर मेरे को खाना है तो I will choose one of the top brands in India because all those historic monies that had gone into building a brand was now becoming fruitful. So I think these are the 3 large messages that I would like to give when you probably hear some of the best experts here. And with that, I'll close my opening session here, and I look forward to the panel discussion again. Thank you.
sir, for your interactive speech, motivation, and knowledge which imparts our excellent corporate skills. Now I would like to request Mr. Sumit Jadhav, Head of Business Operations of Udan, also as General Manager of Marketing at top of Pune to address the gathering.
Morning, everyone. First of all, thank you very much, ma'am, and the entire college community to giving me a chance to interact with all of you. This energy that you all drive this is quite motivational, especially after a long pandemic. Seeing so much of you together is quite rare. So first of all, as I understand, most of you are attending the college for the first time. As in, like, your first trimester was done through virtual classroom. So it's quite new for you. Your expectation setting, whatever you have from the session. If you have any specific ask or any particular insights or anything that you are looking out from this particular session, feel free to raise at any point of time. Okay, because I feel that this particular session is a bridge for you people to connect with what actually corporate or the actual businesses are like. Okay, so ensure that you make the most out of it. Opportunities, will keep getting in life, but it is you who have to make the most out of it. So, the first essence of this session to be the most impactful, I urge each and every one of you to be very, very, very frank and interact as much as you can. Okay. So, I'll go on with whatever I feel is most relevant for your batch. But please, I keep urging you that interact as much as you can. So first thing is, I belong to EdTech and e-commerce, both industries which were highly benefited from pandemic. So not a good thing to say, but yes. So they were highly impacted. But there are harsh realities that everybody needs to know, I feel. One is that from monetary terms, from revenue, from profit and loss, both these industries actually suffered significant losses as well. Okay, so grass is greener on EdTech and e-commerce, but yes, that is the perceived potential of these industries. Okay, because the new normal, which we are seeing now, is going to stay for a long time. People are going to change their habits significantly, and these are industries which are already, catering to those key areas. Wherein, like, you have the convenience of not leaving the safety of your home, not requiring to get into contact with a lot of social elements. So e-commerce was benefiting because of that. EdTech was benefiting because a lot of students like you were not able to actually attain guidance from our traditional approaches, right? So that does not mean that revenue was proportionally increasing. Okay, that is something which we need to understand. I know a lot of edtechs who actually crashed. Okay, a lot of edtechs who were acquired, who were like there were buyouts to actually secure their future. So things which I realized were important is foresightedness. People who were prepared for at least a runway of 18 months to 20 months as a startup actually could survive. People who had some really long 5-year or 10-year planning, they could actually take an opportunity in this entire pandemic. Okay, so what is important is being a long-term visionary, not just being a short-term visionary. So e-commerces as well are actually a very high cash burn enterprises till the time they don't reach a significant scale. So let's talk about Flipkart. So Flipkart, the potential itself was nowhere close until and unless they were at the scale of a monthly revenues of somewhere around $50 million dollars. And at this scale was not very immediate. They took almost 3 years to hit that kind of scale. But the investors had that kind of vision. The investors, the first ASL partners who invested $1 million in Flipkart in their first year of inception,
they had that vision right in the first year that this is a very big marathon. We are not going to look at a short exit of like 2 years or 3 years or something like that. At the same point of time, efficiencies are very important, right? So, what do I mean by efficiency? So, efficiency, I think so. I don't need this. So, by efficiencies, what I mean is cash. Cash is the king, especially in any online business. The more and more cash you have, the more and more agility you have. If you want to do any promotional activities, if you want to do any growth activities, each and everything requires a huge cash burn. And what happens is that these enterprises or all of these new tech companies are spanning over a huge arena. Like you won't feel like any traditional company wherein, like, let's say you're working in any XYZ organization. Your focus is very clear, right? That you sell a particular kind of a category, you cater to a particular customers, and then you are going to grow. But all tech companies and e-commerce is much more complicated than that. Ensuring that your cash is used efficiently is extremely important. So what Flipkart had done in 2015, Udaan had to do that in 2020 itself. Like 2015 was a time wherein the investors were actually quite skeptical about the cash burn and valuation was cut down to almost 33%. That is a huge blow. That was for the first time when Flipkart actually could not even honor some of the placements for the first time. It was a very, very tough time. But there are some very important learnings from that. Okay, so Udaan had those things in place at the very, very basics itself. So if you see a balance between growth as well as your efficiency is very important. So Udaan grew from a 5 crore business in 2019 to a monthly 50 crore business in 2020. Now we could have actually easily accelerated that growth. So it's somewhere around like 500 CR number by the end of 2021. But that is not what we are aiming for. What we are aiming for is that we should have efficient businesses first and then scale up proportionally. Because these are the learnings which we had. That in times of peril like COVID, if you are just being aggressive on one front, you are going to be taken back by surprise. So the first important thing that I learned is that a long-term goal, a plan which has multiple backups is extremely important. You can see at even the investments done by Warren Buffett. So companies like Apple, they have like almost $200 billion of cash with them. Very important thing. Surviving a pandemic was a piece of cake for them. Like it was not even a pandemic at all for them. Okay. So very critical things. You should have cash. You should have efficiency to have cash. Right. Second thing is agility. I think so. Very rightly pointed out by Mr. Anuj also. The agility is extremely important. You have to react very quickly to adapt to the new reality. And what is important is two things: identifying that what exactly is the new reality. Sometimes people actually mistake themselves also. Sometimes what they perceive is going to be the new normal is not exactly the new normal. Right? So what I mean by that is there was an ambiguity between when the schools start and when the schools not start. For example, since I was also associated with EdTech, I knew for the first time in 40 years in India, there were schools which were actually shutting down. So the new reality was not envisioned by them very correctly. So what was the wrong vision that they had? Was that what is happening with me is happening with everyone. Okay, because school is a business which is like like fundamentally cannot change. The thought process was so strong that जो सबके साथ होगा वो मेरे साथ होगा जब school से resume करेंगे it will resume. But things are not like that. I knew of some players who started online schools itself, like online classes and coachings and all is one thing, but starting a concept school which is completely going to be online emerged very strongly in this particular section. So this is what is differentiating between visionaries and people who tend to accept the change very late, or sometimes even do not envision the change properly or in its entirety. So agility is extremely important, wherein you understand that things have changed, I need to adopt, and it is actually not that easy. So if in case if you have gone through the anatomy of success, so it's a very nice book written by an actual neuroscience, a neurologist. What he talks about is that this is an ability which you actually gain over a period of time. The frontal lobe is what is actually very critical in deciding that how quickly you can react to changes. If you are fundamentally gifted with a very strong frontal lobe, great. But even if not, you can still practice and keep pushing yourselves into zones which are not your comforts. Okay, so if specifically in a situation like college, this is a place wherein you can learn the most in your life. Once you graduate, you will actually realize the difference. That what resources you had over there, what access to seniors, mentors, and the entire knowledge, scope is tremendous. This is wherein you should definitely keep yourself out of your comfort zone. If you think that you're enjoying your college life, you're doing something wrong. Okay? Make sure that each and every day you're learning something which you don't know. If you're doing something again and again, I would urge you to not do that. Take up something which is going to help you in accelerating your learning. What are important things which you think is happening in the industry? Check. Like events like these will give you opportunity to directly interact with people. You can also use many resources like platforms like LinkedIn, professional networks, and many other networking events to further add on to those things. Keep out of your comfort zones. Keep learning as much as you can, because that is when your ability to change, your ability to adapt is going to be added. So very first and important thing. And the third, last thing that I want to conclude with is that do not have any preconceptions about anything and everything that is happening around you. So there is a lot of opinions which will be shared with your family members, your friends, your peers, that we are perceived to do a career like this. We are perceived to do a career XYZ way. Do not follow anything blindly. Okay, do your own research, do your own deep dive. That what exactly is the right way? What exactly, how do you prove something is the right thing to do? Something is what I am supposed to do. Do not ever be under the impression that I have a limitation that I can do only XYZ thing. Okay, one very good important example that I want to give you is that I particularly have not pursued an exact MBA course as such. Okay, though I have gone through some minors which were very much correlated to the same coursework. I did pursue a lot of those coursework. But if you see my entire career, a 6-year career, I have been part of startups as a founding team itself, co-founder it myself. I have done sales, I have done operations, I have done even hiring. I have done everything other than finance. Okay, so anything and everything is possible. So if I would have kept myself under the opinion that no, I'm a hardcore mechanical engineer and I have to do something technical, the exciting journey that I had would not have been there. So very important and critical thing is to always question that if you're doing something, why are you doing it? Is that the best and the most optimal thing? Are there other opportunities that you have which you can actually explore and are even better than that? Okay, so always question the status quo, and most importantly, life is going to be a struggle. So the more and more you're going to fight for, the more and more you're going to change. Okay, so the pandemic was tough for each and every business. It was not easy for any business. Trust me. Every business, be it edtech, be it e-commerce, any business took a hit on the GMV. But people who struggled, people who had long-term vision, and people who were ready to change actually made the most of the recession.
So any questions you have, I'll be more than happy to take them. Panel discussion. Looking forward to a very nice session. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable input. Now I would like to request Ms. Cleopatra Duguna, please come forward and to address the gathering.
Once again, a very good morning to my industry colleagues, members of the faculty, and you, my dear future marketers. Before I go on to sharing my thoughts on the pandemic and the lessons learned, I would like to know from you, what, according to you, has been most important to you during this pandemic? Can I have some answers, please? What, according to you, was most important? What did you want? What was
Survive
most
that
dear to
situation.
you? Yes.
To survive the situation.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Okay. I'm sorry.
Basic home needs like food and everything was very difficult to get in.
Awareness about all the things that are happening. The awareness that the things we are going happening.
To be aware of the situation around us. Yes. I'm sorry. Oh. Thank you for your inputs, but I'm a little surprised. The answers that I was looking out for were a little different. But anyways, let's think out of the box and let's expect the unexpected. So if I look at it from my perspective, I think the most important things for me to begin with was my own health, something which we so conveniently have neglected over all this time. The pandemic was a very good reminder that we need to take care of our health first and foremost, the health and well-being of the people who are close to us, and yes, of course, very important, financial well-being. It's a very famous saying that money can't buy happiness. But tell me one thing: does poverty buy you happiness? I don't think so. So, 2020, no doubt, has been an extraordinary year. You all will agree with me. And it has changed the way we do things. For most of us, this probably is the first crisis we faced. A year ago, not many of us, not many of us imagined working from home. Or in your case, I'm sure not many students even imagined learning from home, attending lectures from home. Not many of us imagined that we would have exclusively online meetings, online calls, online events, online exhibitions, online this, online that. Everything now is online. Never in our wildest dreams did we imagine that business deals could be closed without traveling. 2020 reminded us that. It taught us to adapt and to embrace change. Even traditional brick and mortar businesses have had to step up and shift to the online platform to survive the pandemic. No doubt the shift has been rough, but it has taught us to stay afloat during the crisis. The impact for some organizations was quicker, for some it was slower. But as my fellow panelists have very rightly pointed out, not a single one of us has not been impacted by the pandemic. We all have been impacted in some way or the other. So if I look at the marketing front, there are a few interesting facts that I would like to share with all of you. 73% of advertisers have held back their physical campaign launches last year. 67% of businesses have implemented marketing transformation strategies. Email marketing, website marketing, and social media marketing have been the top marketing strategies that brands have adopted during the course of this year. and almost 40% of social media users stated that they have started spending more time on social media during the pandemic. So earlier we used to have couch potatoes, and now I think we all are so confined to our so-called cell phones. So what have we learned during this pandemic? What has the pandemic taught us? If I have to put it down into 5 lessons, I would say that first and foremost, it has taught us to value our available resources. For any organization and also for us marketers, it's our employees are our ambassadors, and hence employee well-being should be the topmost priority, in addition, of course, to your customers' business interests. Ratan Tata, in one of his addresses, he slammed companies for laying off people. Because what companies did when the pandemic broke out was they reacted to the situation and they laid off people. They did not respond and take care of their staff. I feel like every individual is unique and everyone brings along a specific value to the organization. So recognize these hidden talents in your resources and strive to provide them with the right opportunities and platforms to bring out the best in them. And trust me, when your employees feel that they are being taken care of and the company is concerned about their well-being, they will give you their 100%. Next, as my colleagues pointed out, we need to be flexible and we need to act fast. If we go back to somewhere around January last year, coronavirus was, just another local disease which had struck Wuhan in China. But within a few months, however, the virus spread globally and lockdowns were imposed. Businesses were shut down. Oil prices came crashing down. International and domestic travel was curtailed. Given all these factors, the organizations that have survived the pandemic and the organizations that are doing well today are those who have been quick to respond to the crisis. They have reassessed their strengths and weaknesses in this totally new situation. They have changed procedures, processes. Some have even introduced new products, and they did all of this as fast as possible. Next, we need to be creative. This is something which we say quite often. Like, think out of the box, and it is very necessary to think out of the box. A lot of companies had to reinvent themselves in various ways. They had to find new channels to interact with their customers, find new market opportunities, create new products to address new needs, modify their manufacturing facilities, find new selling channels, imagine new campaigns and promotions. The pandemic was a trigger that got businesses to understand that they have to employ creativity and differentiation in everything they do, forcing them to get out of their comfort zone. A very good example that I can cite over here would be of all these event companies. Now, because of social distancing norms, a lot of physical events had to be cancelled, like trade exhibitions, weddings, seminars, networking events. What did some of these event companies do? They jumped to the occasion and they started creating an online experience for customers. So this way, not only did they keep their customer base, but they also stood up to the challenge that they were facing. You need to make digital transformation a priority. The COVID crisis has not only impacted specific industries, as I said, we all have been impacted, and we can very well say that it has brought permanent changes to how we all go about doing our regular stuff. The retail industry, for example, is leading the pack in digital transformation. Many physical outlets have now become online outlets to cater to the ever-changing needs and expectations of their customers. At any point of time, whenever I log on to my Facebook or to my Instagram, my feed is flooded with so many retailers selling clothes, jewelry, consumer products, and I don't know what all. So the pandemic arrived and it surely has reshaped the selling process in all industries and markets. A crisis lesson we all have learned the hard way is that online presence is mandatory for any commerce provider to survive today. And most importantly, something which I really believe in is communication and cooperation are key. If your customers haven't heard from you in a long time, there is something you need to do about it. Call your most important customers, email them, keep updating them regularly about what is happening at your end. Make proposals, ask your customers what they need and how can you help. Be proactive, be available, be there for them. Constantly communicate news about your company. Keep updating your website, keep updating your social media pages, have that engagement with them. This will also help you to convey the message that your business is doing stably. And to conclude, I would request all of you to take a moment and be thankful that we all have emerged safe and sound during a very difficult situation. However, as we move forward, it becomes imperative that we redefine our priorities in this changed socio-economic environment. What seemed to be a way of life before the pandemic may not be relevant anymore. In today's digital environment, I can compare this situation to pressing the reset button on our personal devices called life. Find the right balance between achieving your dreams and fulfilling the expectations of your loved ones. I wish you all a very promising time ahead with all your future endeavors. Believe in yourself and stay focused on your aspirations. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your motivational and learning lesson. Now I request Dr. Sanjita Rajput, ma'am, to take the panel discussion ahead.
Thank you. Am I audible to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Once again, a very good morning and warm welcome to all of you present here. I welcome Mr. Mandar Khare, Mr. Anuj Nagpal, Mr. Sumit Yadav, and Ms. Cleopatra Bikulla on this platform. So the topic for the panel discussion of today is pandemic and marketing lessons learned. We all have been affected by the current pandemic of COVID-19. The consequences of pandemic have hugely impacted on income loss reduction in size of labor force, productivity, and per capita gross national income. Now, when we talk about marketing, we must understand that any successful business has a ladder which is remotely controlled by marketing. The way a perfect business plan attracts investors, a good marketing plan decides the future of any product and its success. Since the pandemic has pounced on the economy, it has become very difficult for the companies to market their product as they are unable to do various promotional strategies. But the one who stays in the storm is the best seller. The one who knows digital marketing knows how to make money in the hardest time. Today, in this panel discussion, we are going to learn various marketing lessons through the inputs from our esteemed dignitaries. So to start with the question answer round, first question I would like to ask to you all. So first I will start with Mr. Sumi. The global pandemic has organizations in a continuous reacting mode. Amid all this uncertainty and internal challenges, how the leaders keep their organizations focused on customers?
So actually, it's a very important question because this pandemic was such a big chaos and such a big challenge to the entire world leaders that the first and the foremost action was to cut down cost and how do you reduce cost and many other things to survive for the near future. But only the leaders who had the basics fundamentals very strong ensured that let's let's see what our customers have to say. Leaders who listen to the customers changed as to what the customers require. Customers had new requirements of safety. The customers had new requirements of being healthy. Organizations who were able to solve or address this particular concerns of the customers were able to be customer centric even in this situation. So just to give an example, as Sami had said that Domino's was selling atta. So right, you're focusing on your customers. Your customers don't no longer want pizza. It was difficult to get an atta in those times. So you can give them atta, give them atta. So that is what is very important. You need to understand your customers. And one particular thing that we are trying to do is we call it Red Bull days. So it's expected that every person has a Red Bull in hand and is in the field the entire day. What we do is that we actually reach out to our customers in a social distancing environment and try and understand to see what is their pain points. And this we do almost every week, once a week, because the situations are so turmoil, things are changing every day that you don't know exactly a problem might not be existing yesterday, but it is today. So something very important for leaders is to actually be connected with their customers as much in depth possible as they could do. Just to give another example, like not even just pandemic, Jeff Bezos, CEO of Amazon, he particularly used to listen to customer grievances every once in a while. He used to actually answer phone calls that customers were calling to their call centers. So he would actually be acting as a customer support executive for not a very long duration, but yes, he ensured that every once in a while he used to do that. So imagine the world's richest person is actually answering grievances that product and not only that, he would ensure that each and every problem that he has listened to, has he made a structural solution for that. So when leaders are actually connecting with the customers, it is not to just troubleshoot their immediate problems, but to understand that as a process, how you can make it better. So as a leaders, I think so the strongest and the most important way is to constantly be in touch with your customers. Only then you can know that what your customers are actually going through and how you can cater to their needs. So, yeah.
Thank you, sir. So the same question I would like to ask you about how you keep your organization focused on the customers.
Sure, thanks. So, Reddington, those who are in, I'm audible? Yes. Yes. So, Reddington, those who are aware, maybe we are into basically a distribution of the IT product, like whether it is the Apple phones or whether it is the HP or Dell laptops or into the cloud business, Amazon or Microsoft and all those things. Basically, it demands to supply a product, even including Flipkart and even Amazon also they buy on the credit. In the sense, we supply the goods to them and they pay to us with a differential credit, whether it is a 30 days or 50 days, depend upon the deal size or vendor and the partner whom we are selling to. So specifically this April, May, June, when the pandemic came, it was definitely a tough situation as said by everyone, every panelist. Specifically here the challenge was one, at side you need to recover the money from the market for what the product you have sold. And it was just the market. So because of year end, there was a huge purchases by many partners. At the same time, you need to keep running your business. That means you need to supply also the new material to them. While there was a lockdown, but we are into some medical equipment also. So even you need to supply those medical equipment to them. And at the same time, you need to survive because it's not as easy that your cash flow is stopped on the instant and you need to generate the funds from your banks. You need to supply the new material. You need to pay to your vendor. But At the same time, as a leadership, we thought that this is the time which is a tough time, and we need to walk on the very tight rope where we need to balance this. One side, we need to be a polite, we need to be empathy towards our creditors and those whom we have supplied the material, because we need to end up that they recover that money. At the same time, we need to also find out when we are selling the product, when we are giving again the new material on the credit, whether we are giving it to the right people or not, whether they have any challenges or not. Imagine many of owners would have got through some diseases of due to this pandemic, their families or relatives, and they are into the different state of mind altogether, but still you have to communicate with them and ensure that your business is right. So the lessons learned by the leaders was one, you need to manage instantly on the reactions how you do to the market. You need to negotiate with your vendors, maybe probably because you need to survive. At the same time, you need to be patient. You need to find a way out or structure the way out to your customers. How they would be looking at us at such situation. Because over the period of time, the lesson learned is when you help your customers when they most need, they become your customers forever. So money is one thing because you can't replace money, right? End of the day, if we give leverage to our customers and if they don't pay us, maybe our vendors may not give the same treatment to us. We might have still the pressure to pay our vendors at the time when it is required, at the time when our views are there. At the same time, we need to also ensure that we need to correct this, but with patience, with giving that time, with giving that empathy, with giving that maybe a personal touch to them. This pandemic has, I think, so learned many of such organizations to survive with this. Since that difficult period was there and that was the tough time, those who could able to survive in that period by adjusting their policies. At times you need to become strict, maybe sometimes you have to say no also to your customer that we can't able to supply unless and until I don't know whether if you have to see the series Tarak Mehta, which is the current episodes are going on the same topic, but the reference context is same. It's a difficult moment for any organization to walk on this tightrope where you need to balance it out. Some customers you have to say no because unless and until you don't behave like that, you will not survive. So there was no choice. At the same time, you have to accommodate some customers. Maybe those customers were also, in fact, to just add on this last point. Even the next year also took the corrective action. In fact, while we were continued giving the credit to our customers and we still supplied irrespective of and sometimes they had not paid the previous month, while they tightened their collections in the market, they started supplying to the next year with only advance or only on the cash kind of market. Where in a turn it helped us because their cash outflow was at least better. Their cash inflow improved and they could also able to maybe pay us back. Maybe in the future they try to report the payment by to offset just whatever the loss we and they made into the situation. I think the best leaders are who understand this situation, agile to respond to such situation, and at the same time keep the long-term vision in the mind that both of us has to survive. It's not only you need to survive, but your customer also has to survive. Then only you will able to survive.
Thank you, sir. So we need to go through the flow and we need to change according to the circumstances. This is the message sir has given. Now, ma'am, I would like to ask you the question. How is this pandemic affecting the way your organization operates?
So I belong to the supply chain and logistics industry. If I have to say, the pandemic not only were we impacted by the pandemic, it also did boost our business, as you rightly said. It's not a good thing to say, but yes, we did earn a lot from it. So when the pandemic struck, the core of our operations were impacted. Our staff couldn't go to our warehouses and our delivery trucks, because of the abrupt lockdown imposed, our trucks and the drivers workers were stranded. Now, what could we have possibly done? Customers wanted to know where are their goods, what's happening, how is it happening. It was a totally chaotic situation. So in all of this, I think the way we responded to this entire situation was we established a connect with our customers. We kept giving them an update as to what is happening. Okay, your materials are moving. It's right now we are here. Right now, this is the progress that has happened. Fortunately, a lot of our customers that we work with belong to the essential goods industry. So for us to have to procure, government permission in order to start working, to start our warehouses has been relatively quicker. But even while the warehouses were in operation, it was a very big challenge for us to, manage our workforce. While a lot of us, we had the liberty to stay at home and work, that unfortunately was not the case for our staff who were working in the warehouse. So, we had to take all the necessary precautions, make sure that, their travel from maybe a designated spot to the warehouse was taken care of because there was no transport available. Then at the warehouse, adhering to all social distancing norms, taking care of all of that, taking care of their medical requirements. This is something that we took up as a priority, and we really believe that because we took such good care of our internal customers, that is our employees, they put their best foot forward and they helped us to help our customers. And if I have to say, how did we manage our customers? I think very important. We established again a link with them. There used to be weekly calls, many a time even daily calls. To engage with the customers and to assure our customers that we are here and we will take care of you. Now, FM Logistics, along with being operational in India, we are also present in 14 countries across the world. We are present in France and Italy as well, countries that have been severely affected by the pandemic. So we already knew the situation happening there, and that helped us to be prepared when the pandemic struck India. We had a business continuity plan in place, and during the pandemic, we have seen a growth in the number of, the growth in the e-commerce business. So now we have started providing our customers with, omni-channel services. So what is omni-channel? We, from a single warehouse, we not only help you to take care of your distribution to your retail outlets, but it's multi-channel. So we may do your e-commerce deliveries, we may do your doorstep deliveries too. So here the thing was to step up, to be flexible, to act fast. And I think, the one thing which we learned very well is we need to be prepared for the worst. That is something I think we all will take forward with us.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, I would like to ask you about this week especially. What is the impact of COVID-19 on e-commerce, and especially how Indian delivery apps Swiggy combated the lockdown?
I think a lot of us know about Swiggy. So for all the great answer, you will not get a coupon code for sure. Because that's the first thing that you should ask me, that coupon code will like that. So that's something I don't have. Quickly coming down to the question that Matt just asked. So the impact of e-commerce on e-commerce has been pretty severe. Right? So I know we join hands in terms of both from e-commerce. Right? The one important message that I want to give from an e-commerce point of view versus some of the physical companies that exist outside e-commerce is that we know our customers pretty well. So all of a sudden, post 1 or 2 weeks of the pandemic, we realized that a customer who was historically for 5 years was sitting in Bangalore and ordering a great burger from a Bangalore restaurant had actually moved to Mysore and was opening it up. And a customer who was sitting in maybe Hinjewadi in Pune was opening his app in Nasik. And fortunately, we were able to track all of this. Versus some of the FMCG companies that exist elsewhere, while they have different mechanisms to figure it out, a suspect still wouldn't know where his customer has gone. A consumer who was probably buying a kg of Surf Excel every day from a local kirana shop in Hinjewadi, all of a sudden has stopped buying it and Surf Excel doesn't know where his customer is gone. However, an e-commerce company is able to track its consumers extremely well because we exactly know at what particular location is this customer ordering from, right? Which housing society is he ordering from? All of a sudden, we knew all of that data coming in. So, in terms of an impact, it was extremely large with all of these users moving to other cities. Now, the impact of these guys moving to other cities is multifold because all of a sudden, the guy who is used to a biryani in Hinjewadi from that restaurant no longer gets the same biryani in Nasik. And he's now beginning to wonder that my taste buds have actually are suited for that restaurant, for that particular city's taste buds. And I'm no longer getting that. And some of these tier 2 and tier 3 cities do not have the cuisine spread that some of the primary cities would have. If today you open up an app in Hinjewadi, you might end up getting greeted with 20 restaurants offering pizza from 100 rupees to maybe 1000 rupees. But in a tier 3 city, maybe there's going to be only one player offering you pizza. So all of this started playing in the consumer's mind. On the other hand, the good part of the impact on e-commerce was that we were able to respond, as everyone is talking about here, that people wanted the essentials to come in. When ma'am asked, what is it that you were looking at? What was most important to you? It was groceries. It was the essentials. And within no time, so by the way, Swiggy was only in 7 cities for the first 4 years. And we launched 100 plus cities on groceries within a matter of 2 months. That's how quick the decision was, because that's what people in need were. So, in terms of e-commerce, we started all of those things which were absolutely essential to people. And we had requests coming from schools to deliver books. They said, can you pick up books from our school and deliver it to all our students? That's the kind of request that started coming in. And hence we had to launch a product called Swiggy Ginny across the cities. Because we said there's a demand for school books coming up. On the other side, the families were getting bigger. Because all of a sudden, a 2 BHK had all of a sudden 5 people inside. There was a mother, there was a father, there was a couple, and there was a small kid who was roaming across the house. And what happened as a result of that? A guy who used to maybe just order a couple of rotis and a dal for his lunch, all of a sudden had to order a main course, a starter, a roti, and all of a sudden, and we were delighted. And we said, wow, a consumer who always ordered for 200 rupees is beginning to order for 500 rupees. Wow. Because family had gone bigger. And as soon as his family had got bigger, more GMV started flowing in for consumer. So while the grass looks greener on the other side, the GMV is coming in as per consumer a little more than what it used to come historically pre-COVID. But all those consumers are still not back. Because a lot of these consumers, as I said, have shifted back from Bombay to Nasik. They've shifted back from Chennai to Coimbatore. They've moved from Delhi to Chandigarh. And if they keep ordering at a pace that they used to order in Delhi, his parents will think, ये तो अभी बाहर का ही खाना खाता है, इसको घर के खाने की आदत ही नहीं रही है. So hence, under that scare, he cannot order at a similar frequency. And the only time today he's ordering is when his mother says, "Chal beta, aaj bahar ka khana mangwa de." And that is where a 200 rupee order is not coming in, a 600 rupee order is coming. And last, in one of the fantastic facts that Amazon said in the first sale, the Amazon Big India sale that they did during the pandemic, sometime in the month of October, they said 91% of their consumers, new users, consumers came from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Because people had already beginning to adopt to digital economy. And all of these, what was the language that they were choosing to browse Amazon? It was Tamil, it was Telugu, it was Kannada, it was Malayalam. All of these regional languages started flowing in. And the message to Amazon is, but all my new users, or a majority of my new users, will start coming in from these regional languages. And what about sellers? She rightly said, a lot of these sellers now have a trigger in their mind that अगर धंधा चलाना है तो online जाना पड़ेगा. And there's a 50% increase in just the new sellers on Amazon. That's how the impact has been. I think I'll rest my point there for the question.
Thank you, sir. So as you said, it was actually the pandemic was the opportunity for this PG, and coronavirus pandemic is the blessing for IT sector too. So sir, I would like to ask you the question that it has produced not many opportunities for IT sector because everyone was working from home. So what's your opinion about it?
So definitely IT sector has multiple different technologies. Basically, it's going to cater to services required in such scenarios, right? Like let's say Zoom, which had the highest spike in adoption since pandemic affected. Zoom is not only the biggest benefited from such things. If you are aware about Indian technology enterprise Zoho, Zoho has a very strong CRM solution around it. Zoho, Salesforce, everything. All of these are IT solutions actually. It is basically how you do stuff. So, right? So, if you would check sales 30 years back, it would be a person who is looking for a typical commodity. He has to go to a specific market. So, let's say in Pune, Satashiv Pet is the market for the pharma products. A person knew that okay, I have to go here, or I have to go to market yard to procure my vegetables. Things are evolving. The next future is basically how do you do all of that with information technology? Okay, a shopkeeper, if you randomly go place an order, give me XYZ, you interact with that customer at only that one short point of time. Let's say you had an opportunity to ask the customer that where do you stay? Do you need this product again and again? Are you also going to look at some other offerings that we have? Right? So imagine all of these transactions. You are going to a shop asking for a Bisleri bottle and the shopkeeper asking all of these details. You're going to freak out that, are you stalking me? What are you doing? But with IT, you actually get all of that data and you are able to pinpoint your sales in an extremely new direction altogether. So if you look at what do people sales is basically understanding your users, knowing what your users like, knowing what they're looking for at what time, and if you have the supply control over supply, also nothing like it. With IT, you can control your sales like never before. So sales particularly is completely revolutionized with IT. Other technologies which help actually businesses are also based on a lot of IT solutions. Like if you know Microsoft Teams, Zoom, there are many proctored solutions to conduct your tests. I don't know if you also use any of proctored tests, but there are tests wherein even if you're taking it online, you cannot use Wikipedia to check for answers. Okay, so there are technologies which can do that. There are technologies which can actually use face recognition and assert that whether you were the only one who were giving the exam. Did you move out in between? Was it allowed? Was it not allowed? Everything can be controlled. I know of companies in India who were taking tests in Italy. And this was a huge spike because there are a lot of proctored testing solutions in India which are used globally. So very surprising thing to know. But yeah, soon you might actually be in front of a laptop and you might be thinking that laptop is a copy and a but nothing like that. So you will not be able to even change your tab. You will not be able to move away from your desk. Everything and anything can be monitored. So the way you can do your just assessment is changing because of IT. The way you transact, the way you make a save is changing. So IT is typically in everything that we do today, right from eating your food to getting your diagnostics to anything that you can think of. And in case if you think somewhere IT is not there, that is an opportunity area for you to maybe start something.
Thank you for the answer, sir. So next question to Manda, sir. Which strategies you are using to regain the customer confidence amid COVID-19?
So, I think the beginning also I talked about the reacting to the customers to make them sustain. Was the first step to give that confidence to them that together we survive. It's not the isolation. I'm sure the pandemic has already told us that whatever the activity we do, if we do in isolation, it's not going to help. It has to be a community. It has to be together. If one wears a mask and another doesn't wear, because it's not going to help, right? The same way, everyone has to follow those processes. Same thing, we try to give the confidence to our partners or our customers where in the difficult time is the most somebody requires the help. It's not the other way around. So the confidence boost can only come if you show that sympathy to them. At the same time, as I said earlier, also you need to find a way out to communicate at times very clearly to them also when you can't do a transaction with them. Saying the no, it doesn't mean you are cutting your relation. It's not the way we do that today's world that it's end of the discussion or end of the business. It's always in the business we say that you should commit less and deliver more. It's something like that only. See, confidence is not only given by the good words or by just saying the rosy picture or just telling about the commitments which you can't deliver. The confidence also can be given by what you can do and what you can't do. So I guess this period has specifically pandemic has taught us that also that what you can't deliver, you better go commit. You go on the path which you can commit, which you can collectively do, and that gives more confidence to the people to continue your business with you and go the process.
So your genuine actions really counts. That is the message you have given. Next question to you, sir. During and at the end of this pandemic, everybody is talking about new normal. So from the perspective of your industry, what do you feel is the new normal and how do you plan to adapt to it?
So new normal is going to be for different people, right? For employees, the new normal is work from home. At least from the industry that I come in, there's not going to be a possibility that we're going to be going back to office for 5 days a week. Which means that stakeholder management is going to get tougher. Earlier, if there was an issue with finance, you could just walk up to the finance department and say, "Can you sort this out for me?" Today, on the other hand, you have to schedule a call with a finance POC and understand what has gone wrong. And that is how the difficulty on stakeholder management is going to continue. And that's going to be the new normal, right? From an employee point of view. From a customer's point of view for this industry, it's going to be extremely big. Now, all those street side vendors that you used to see, where girls used to grab their favorite pani puri, and guys used to grab their best of vada paws, are not going to come back. They're not going to come back at that similar scale because people have been educated about hygiene like no other. It's not going to come back. So people are started to worry a lot more about hygiene than they historically have been, which is a great sign. I think a pandemic was needed for people to get educated on. That's a new normal from the customer's point of view. The bigger new normal is on the payment modes. About 35% of our orders used to come on COD, which has drastically come down. So what demonetization did is to facilitate a digital mode. And what COVID has done is put a checkmate on that. all of a sudden now, when you walk up to a retailer, you are looking at that black box, which is a QR code. I think इससे दे दूं क्या? So that is here to stay. But the downside to that is now the financial institutions are beginning to wonder that this UPI of 60 rupees and 20 rupees for the milk that you're buying is hurting them. And today, all of you are transferring 100 rupees from a Google Pay to another Google Pay free of cost. And Google Pay is wondering, this guy is having a great time by just moving this 100 rupees from one guy to another. How do I stop this? So he needs to get some organic payments to only get facilitated free of cost and not all. So the new normal in the payment industry is that the UPI interface that has become very promising to your heart will continue. From a delivery executive's point of view, which is the face of an organization, by the way, there was a time in 2019 when we were chasing to be the biggest employer in India after Indian Railways. And we said Swiggy will be the biggest employer in India with the kind of delivery folks that we have across this country. They being the face of an organization, they were never trained without a physical activity, getting them inside a training room and they being trained. And what pandemic did is the beginning to get trained via YouTube tutorials. The guy who used to get taught by putting a phone in his hand and saying that order abhi accept ऐसे करना है या फिर map ऐसे देखना है, he's learning that via tutorial. And it's something we never imagined. Because from a historical point of view, there always used to be a buddy who used to teach him all of this. A delivery executive could never be onboarded without he spending 7 days with his fellow friend who was doing this job for years. Because he never knew how to operate a phone. But today, the last 1 year of onboarding has been done virtually, which is absolutely great for this industry because people have the kind of skills that people have emerged with, especially on digital, has been immaculate. You couldn't have built these skills without this pandemic. And we are glad that this new normal is here to stay. That people will get educated, will honor their skills through video tutorials. So I think with employees, with consumers, with delivery executives, especially pertaining to the industry that I belong to, this is going to be the set of new normals that I foresee for the next few years.
Thank you. Mandar sir, would you like to add on some points on new normal from the perspective of you?
Yeah, sure. So, a lot of things what Anuj said is absolutely right that the virtual adoption has happened. All the recruitments have gone completely virtually. The election is completely virtual. Even the procurements also have gone to virtual. In fact, in the IT industry, there is a complete shift on the product purchase towards the virtual products compared to the physical products. Like we also said about the Zoom or Microsoft Teams. Even though the education institutes, most of them are built for the Cisco Webex because they had to conduct all these conferences or education. More than new normal in our industry, I would say, even like Anuj added that the physical offices are either getting reduced. Maybe we are the 50 people who are working in one office. Now we are looking at the WeWork or kind of the co-working offices. That has become rather than new normal, it will become a normal now. People have found a way out to survive this by reducing the cost, and that is instead of becoming the new normal, it has started becoming the normal because for any industry to remain fit, to remain survive, to find maybe in future such kind of challenges if they face, the only way is to cut down certain costs, to find options to ensure that they sustain. So if the same business can be done by people being at home, people being on not coming to office. Why not? So that is the thought process of most of the management is now. People have learned to maybe even survive in this by adopting these new skills. Many of employees or many of the companies have opened up learning skills specifically in this during time. Either they did not have much time to do anything else, so there were the mandates that they had to upskill themselves. The LinkedIn learning has seen a complete boost during this period because many organizations approach saying that they want to upgrade their manpower. As rightly said by Anuj, when the delivery guy was not knowing that he has to use now the tools and maybe the technology. Same happened to teachers or education industry. We have seen many teachers where have been taught by students that you should use the Zoom call like this, you should do the adjustment like this. The same happens to every industry. And for us also, no difference. Meaning physical payment, like earlier it used to come through the check. It has shifted over to the RTGS modes. It has shifted to the NSCS mode. One of my friends came recently from US and at every pawn shop or any vegetable place you see that PayPal or your options like Google Pay and all, which has adopted much bigger than even US and other countries. So I guess as an industry, as a country, we have already moved towards this new normal and we wanted to now that become as a normal already. I guess that is going to help us if in future also such kind of things happen. We are already ready on a shift, I guess.
Yeah. So the definitions of new normal and normal are changing. Next question to you now. What kind of reskilling and upskilling is required for budding management professionals in the present scenario?
I think in the present scenario, something that we really need, really want to see budding management professionals, how do they respond rather than how do they react? Because reaction is something that just happens. It's the way you respond that makes the difference. Yes, and coming from the logistics industry, the kind of professionals that I would like to work with, unfortunately for us, we do not really have the option of working from home because it's the people in the warehouses, it's the managers at the warehouses who are going to take care of work for my customers. So I will obviously want to have someone who is considerate, who understand, that the needs of the customers, and also at the same time he understands that how he can train the people in the warehouse to step up to what the customer needs. So I would say yes, agility, flexibility, and also sensitivity.
So would you like to add on some points?
I think it's important to understand what's upskilling and what's reskilling. Upskilling is where if you have to add a few skills to move up your role. So if you're doing an X thing and if you have to start doing X plus plus things, you have to add a few skills. The other thing is where you are adding some more skills to just move away from that role, where you're doing a different role altogether. So it's important that you separate the two. And ma'am rightly said a beautiful two words: react and response. I just put a beautiful example for that. There were a couple of friends in my canteen, one boy and one girl, who were having a plate of noodles, and they saw a live cockroach inside. What did the girl do? She screamed on top of her voice, and he said, "Canteen wale ko bulao, and we were going to complain to the principal." What did the guy do? Cockroach उठा के फेंक दिया, and he said, "इसको change करके लाओ. I know this is the kitchen in the college, and some of these things can happen. I'm aware of such facts, but what I would respect is if you can change the state of things." The guy responded. and the girl reacted. So it's not a gender biased decision that someone did, but I'm just trying to show what does pandemic want is a response, as ma'am rightly said, and not a reaction. Now, in terms of what skills are going to be important going forward, is going to be the digital competency. I think people who will have success in future are going to be the ones who will have digital competency. So in 2017, if I can just recall, McKinsey, who is one of the famous research companies across the globe, they said about 14% of the people will have to reskill or will have to add their skills to avoid unemployment. That already existed in 2017. That's not because a pandemic struck in, that's because of the evolution of artificial intelligence and machine learning that's happening. People would have to get reskilled. And a lot of people will get maybe shown a pink slip in years to come because the competencies in digital are missing. And when I talk about digital, it's not about knowing the app, it's not about knowing technology, it's about working with data. And that is why a lot of sales folks in my organization who used to sell basis relationship to restaurants, saying that, sir, khareed lo na. Sir, 20,000 रुपए की ad चला लो ना. Get 30% off discount चला लो ना. Basis relationship are all of a sudden finding trouble because relationship virtually cannot be managed as efficient as it used to be physically. And now they have to back it with data to get discounts out of a restaurant. Saying that, sir, your new users to your restaurants have actually dropped, hence you need to start offering discounts. So as a percentage of people who are active in this area, very few are transacting with you. You need to start offering ads. Because selling has all of a sudden channelized into selling by data and not selling by relationship. And the last point, when I talk about reskilling, it's about the leader, as Sumit said. A lot of apparel brands started selling matching masks to the woman. It got a delight. So all of a sudden, with my favorite sari or with my favorite kurti, I was getting a matching mask. Wow! Who could have ever believed that? People had the vision that this was coming early. Who would have thought Tommy Hilfiger, Alan Solly, all of these brands will once upon a time make masks? People are wondering they will come up with beautiful jeans. But they thought otherwise. They said mask is more important in this world than a fantastic jeans. All of these will evolve. As he rightly said, people will have to have a foresight. And this is a beautiful example of what foresight can do. That if mask is important, don't get a beautiful t-shirt. And consumers are enjoying it. Today, people are choosing a kurti which has a matching mask than the kurti which doesn't. And people are the manufacturer also enjoying it. Wow. So all of these things will come in handy. And other thing, what China does beautiful. Right? And I think a pinnacle example of skills. When all of the government of India was talking about boycott Chinese apps, they came up with t-shirts saying boycott China. And they sold a few millions of t-shirts to Indians which said boycott China. They came up with a pen drive which had a sanitizer built in. Where you could get a pen drive and a sanitizer on either sides of a 5 centimeter metal instrument. I think all of these things will be the next big thing in future, where foresight, empathizing with employees. Today, one of our policies in Swiggy is that if you get infected on COVID, you get 4 weeks of paid leaves. 4 weeks of paid leaves. If someone gets infected, not individually, even if one of my family members gets infected, 4 weeks of paid leaves. There's no organization. There are limited organizations which are empathizing to that level. People can buy furniture and whatever they want for their own house, and companies will pay for it, so that the backache while working from home on a bed or on a random chair does not cause enough damage. All of these things are evolving, and you'll find more empathy coming from organizations to their customers, so that skills do not get damaged.
Thank you for the insights on reskilling and upskilling. So my last question is to all the panelists. What message you would like to give to these students to handle these kind of uncertainties? Start with you, sir.
So some things you can foresee. Foreseeing is an art. It's not something like astrology or something like that. It is about knowing what are vitals around you. Keep tracking what people are doing. This is what you will be learning in institutions like this. Apart from that, also you have to be very curious. Okay, reach out to people, read news, read different blogs, understand what people are doing, how they are doing, and you will automatically find trends, like how things are changing. Like for example, everybody here must have watched significant entertainment like movies itself. If you were to just glance through them, you would even find trends in even entertainment. It's something which is very common to us. From there, you can identify that how do you actually pick up trends. Once you know how you can actually pick up trends, you know that what is going to change, what is going to be in near future, what is going to be in the long term. Ensure that you are well equipped for that. So, like as Stanley and Ms. Yopatra rightly mentioned, upskilling and reskilling. Ensure that what you want to pursue in your life, what you feel are the new trends. See what is the required upskilling, what is the required reskilling required for that, and some very basic stuff like in marketing. Let's say you want to demonstrate that how you can actually market something. You don't have to go too far. Let's say any one of your acquaintance, your family members, your relatives is just wants to resell their flat. You can just take it up as a small project. You can try, how you can use Facebook, how you can use Google Ads to, let's say, if you're renting out your flat at 10,000 rupees rent per month, let me try and see, if I can do it at 12,000. Oyo business started like that. He realized that, that a lot of people, if they could get access to images, how your flat was actually looking, you could actually reach out to multiple more people who can actually need that services. And after that, you keep honing those skills. Now, what does honing those skills mean in this particular example is you reach out to multiple customers. Some customers will ask you that, does your flat have this? Does your flat have that XYZ thing? You have to now pick up and find you that, okay, what is it that is most required? What is it that gives me more value for money? Let's say if you just, have a semi-furnished apartment, you might see, 3x rise in whatever you're doing. So, honing your skills is extremely important. So, first is identify what you want to do. Know what is the right skill sets required for that thing. Experiment with it, and then once you have experienced something, keep shining it as much as you can. So, it is. You will be surprised to know that in 1980s, to start a movie was almost impossible. Getting those cameras used to be so expensive. It was almost impossible that any random person can go and start a movie. Today you can actually shoot a movie on your cell phones. You actually can. You can start your own web series, anything. Same thing is also there in your sales and marketing. You don't need to be associated with something big to get started. You can get started right now in your current trimester. You can just go ahead, find anybody who is marketing anything, doing any sales, and you can yourself get hands-on. It is so easy. I'll tell you to start your own inside sales trading. You can start it with any CRM tool, the best in the world, Salesforce, Zoho, with something as low as There are all free subscriptions also, but even the lowest paid professional services will be as low as $17 per year. Just $17 per year, you can actually use the most cutting edge sales services that you can have in the service. So explore right from your college days, because that is when you will get the most opportunity to catch up by the time you are, about to start your professional careers. Any questions you have? Please let us know.
I have a question. If we are talking about the new normal, there is a thing that digital payment, it's like digital currency. What is your view about that?
So you're talking about cryptocurrencies or
Yes.
things like that.
Is it valid in India? Should it be valid? Should it be done like that, or what you heard?
So this is a very surprising question, but yeah, very interesting question and something I myself personally am very much interested in. So if you see what cryptocurrencies are to offer, it's a very different discussion. It's a bit off the topic, but to answer that question, cryptocurrencies solve for some very important issues. So let's say you want to do, like, not any normal person has this kind of requirement, but let's say there was a 5 billion transaction required to do. If you have to do that kind of a transaction, there are a lot of constraints that is involved in banking sectors and all. But if you decide to do those transactions through cryptocurrencies, you can do it with as low cost as just a few dollars, like just $10-15 you'll have to spend for a transaction as big as $5 billion. So in the entire financial market itself, this is a new resurrection which is happening. Cryptocurrencies, definitely, I personally believe, are here to stay. People are going to adapt to it. This is something which is democratizing. If you are aware about how did Bitcoins actually initially started, they started after the 2008 housing bubble collapse. So people who believe that when power comes in a few people, few handful people, it is very often that people get corrupted. So cryptocurrency inherently was started with the vision that no one person can ever control the entire ecosystem, or not even few people can control the entire ecosystem. So to answer your question, I feel that it is a very advanced way of investing, of doing financial transactions, as well as maintaining the market balance between the supply and the demand. This has been never done before, and yes, it is one of the very strong aspects of future. But yes, there is also a lot of perceptions around it. Not a lot of people have or share the same opinions. So that is the reason why I'm strictly quoting that this is what I am also envisioning, but not necessarily that everybody else will be having the same perception.
The forum is open to all. So students, if you want to ask any questions.
Like I have to ask the question, sir, like there are people, these are social animals, and if you work in the IT industry, we used to sit together and solve the problem together if we had some issues. Like in the lockdown system, everybody went to their home, working personally. So that their motivation has gone down for the first few months. It was like very happening, like we are at home, we are working, like that. But all of a sudden, some people like they are gone down, their progress is gone down. What we have done to keep them on the track?
So I think so. What you're quoting is the silos which keep building. Like people are no longer interacting much with other people. So honestly speaking, these are some of the workplace decisions and initiatives which different organizations take to eradicate those kind of issues if they exist. So honestly speaking, not all organizations have those kind of issues. But yes, as you rightly said, some organizations might instill those kind of things. Like, people might feel that they're no longer connected to the team. The weekly stand-up calls might be happening, which earlier used to be daily stand-up calls. So you kind of feel that, am I lost somewhere? Am I really belonging to somewhere? And things like that, especially with a lot of chaos around it. The main difference between a workplace and a remote working is that when you go to your office, you actually are entering a new environment altogether, which enables you to actually think about your professional life. Whether you're remote working, while even you're on an important client meeting call, some random delivery boy might also come into your house and you might actually have to close your client meeting just to, maybe answer the door. So these kind of things keep happening, they do affect all of these scenarios. So initiatives within the organization are actually taken up to understand that etiquettes are going to change. Some organizations had a strict policy of keeping your cameras on whenever you are on at any meeting. That ensured that people feel more connected. That was like a partial way of doing it. But yeah, so like what we were doing in Quran, the Red Bull days I mentioned, that also bring the connect between the leaders and the people who are on the team. So there are different initiatives which companies do take, to ensure that we know how working from home is going to be different and how we have to acknowledge it and accept it. There are also benefits for that. So organizations are actually able to have employees working for more time because they're actually not wasting time in commuting. In Bangalore, like you at least on an average use 3 to 4 hours in just commuting because of the heavy traffic. Pune also, if you're not from the India area and you're in IT sector, you would be at least losing out 2 hours per day. So employees could actually spend more time in working from the office. As a cons is like they need some flexibility with when are they on their personal tasks. People might not always be available for a meeting in that time zone. But you need to change your etiquettes. You need to change your methodologies. You need to change how you communicate. Dropping in emails is more important rather than phone calls. So if you adopt to these, soft skills, they'll help you to get acquainted to remote working scenarios and maintain your character rather than feeling you're getting into science.
Just to add, Sumit, if you allow, many organizations also took the initiative through the HR. Like they started some yoga classes for the day, or they had the fancy dress competitions for the family, or even they asked to decor your workstation at your house. So yes, in fact, I wrote my research paper on this, specifically the effect of working from home IT industry. And there were definitely the health issues also, as earlier I mentioned that there were the back pains, there were the maybe like some more serious issues also happened to many people. Few people gone into the depression also. But there was no choice, right? People had to survive, people had to keep a distance. But what we could do now here, maybe last year or around, say, April, May, it was absolutely not possible. So people had to survive even through that. And just I will put 2 lines in that earlier question was asked by a man was on the uncertainty. Uncertainty has to be looked at in 2 ways. One, whether that uncertainty is going to give you the adventure or that uncertainty is going to give you the fear. So the same applies to this point also. If you take that I am working in isolation, that can give you the fear also, or that can give you some adventure also. I can wake up at 9 o'clock and I can start my office from the home. But earlier, maybe as you said in Bangalore or even in Pune, to go to the office itself take a time. You have saved that time, so enjoy that. Take that as an adventure. The best example of again the uncertainty is if somebody is asked to jump from the 6th floor of this building, you will be having a fear. But if you go to the bungee jumping, the height is much more, but you are prepared. Your mind is prepared. You are prepared for that as an adventure. The result is still uncertain, right? Here also, when you jump from the building is uncertain, or whether you do bungee jumping, it's uncertain. But when you take it as an adventure, when you take it as the prepared mind, it becomes more of the enjoyment rather than the way you look at the uncertainty.
Any further questions?
Good afternoon, study panelists and ma'am. Good afternoon, study panelists and Dr. Ma'am. My question is to you, Anuj sir. As you have seen, Swiggy has been very creative right from the starting days when they had ad campaigns of
saying that don't call our delivery partners Swiggy aa gaya, use their name. And then now with Gulab Jamun example you gave, and also with Dudhmanshu Dulias doing ad like Karodo Kutu Mangwa Rahe Hain. And we have also seen that there is a Swiggy pop option, and the interface of Swiggy is, they have few features which are extra than other competitive brands. But so there also we have seen that, like for example, if I take Zomato, we have Zomato Gold, and we, for example, I can book a table if I have to go to any, if I have to dine into any restaurant. And in Swiggy, that options are not there yet. So the user interface of Swiggy is still not as friendly as Zomato. So my question is two fronts. Firstly, I would like to ask that what are the measures the company is taking to, be at par with its competitors? And secondly, sir, like, giants like Domino's and McDonald's, they also have their own applications. So if I order from their applications, if I call on my local restaurant, he'll probably give me 20% off. I go and get it from him. So what are the measures taken by the company to uphold all that challenges and to face that challenge?
Great question, first of all. I'll answer the first one quickly. See, we are a specialist firm, so I can't reveal more details on that. Right? But to the larger audience, we're going to be extending our product lines extremely soon. That's all I can commit for now. Now, coming on to we being a specialist on where we exactly know what to do. So where our competition, Zomato is probably into dine-in, is it to offline, is it to online, is into events, is into a lot more fancier things. But so it's as good as if you have a problem in your eye, would you go to a physician or would you go to an ENT specialist? You will go to an ENT, right? The same thing is to us. If somebody wants to order food, we want him to come down. Right? So Zomato is a physician, we are a specialist. Right? And we want to continue being a specialist. Right? So let them do what they are best at. It's not that world is not in need of physicians, right? But we've always felt that there's a need for specialists more, and hence we will continue doing so. Coming on to your point of people having specialists, their own apps versus people who don't, or someone like us, it's as good as you going to a Shopper Stop or you going to Alvin Solly. Right? It is just that when you type Hakka noodles on Swiggy, you have the ability to get Hakka noodles for $100 and $1,000. The choice is yours, which one you want to take. However, if you go to a mainland China app, if that exists, you just have an option to pick one. Right? So you don't get an understanding or the information that what's available more to you. Right? However, our specialty is to give you variety. Right? Coming down to prices, which is extremely sensitive to people. Right? If you are able to get something better off on Domino's versus Swiggy, I think that's a very sensitive conversation. Right? As an org, we tell restaurants to maintain similar pricing. The delivery fee is something that can vary. However, a margarita on Domino's and on Swiggy on Domino's, it has to be exactly the same. That's something that Domino's is not allowed to charge something separate. Right? So, of course, Domino's is too big a player. Jubilant Foods is a share price of roughly more than 1,000 rupees. So they're tough not to negotiate with versus some of the city accounts which exist. There's a handful of such accounts that exist across India which become extremely tough to negotiate on. Right? But pricing in terms of items price is something that you will always find it constant across apps. Delivery fee will be basis the service that we offer versus what they offer. So they might get 30 minutes free, 30 minutes off free there. We might not be able to do that. By the way, Domino's is the only brand across India where Swiggy allows them to deliver. And there's no other brand across India apart from Domino's where Swiggy allows them to deliver. For no matter what brand you order from, be it fast food, be it McDonald's, be it any brand across India, Swiggy will deliver it. Right? And in Domino's case, even if you end up ordering Domino's from Swiggy, Domino's will deliver. Right? So that's our extremely special case that we've offered to them. So, any more questions? I hope it's clear.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
We'll take up the last question for today.
As you all are preparing to a B2B platform, so as we are also student of mass media, so for us, it is very important to communicate to the masses. So for advertising for a company like Swiggy, they can straight away through a newspaper or ad campaign or anything like that to communicate to the masses. But we, since you are not communicating directly retailing a product also, so how different it is to stay in the public eye and to maintain that image as it works for Reddington. It works with a variety of brands like Lenovo, HP, which are competitors to themselves only. So how do you manage the supply chain and seeing the public eye for them having that differentiated view for you are delivering the same services to each because we all know that we are also selling the company.
Thanks for the question. So, first and foremost, as you rightly said, first and foremost, as you rightly said, that we are not the customer-facing company where people say that is a brand behind brand. We have that structured way to do it when we go to the outside. Like maybe I'll Swiggy example you take, they supply Domino's, they supply McDonald's, they supply the brands, different brands, right? So same thing when it happens to the B2B organization, Done or Western or any other brand you will see, we are immune to any biased approach, first of all. And second point, on the communication to the customers or the brand value as a reading position, we are a listed company on stock exchange. So when we go to our investors, we show that value addition what we are giving to those brands. Because the day back, maybe 10 years or 15 years back, when the distribution business started, it used to be a licensed kind of mode, where people like us will import the products from outside the country, they will just sell it and they will earn the margin. Then distribution 2.0 started coming, where there was a need of a value-added distributor. Value-added distributor is something like we will approach to the customers, we will find some solution, we will invest into the people, technology. And now the distribution 3.0 is something where we need to do the managed services. For a customer, like maybe you are a Dell customer or you are a IBM customer, you would be looking at something extra, which maybe even at times vendor is not able to fulfill because of the manpower constraint, because of the reach constraint, and maybe because of keeping all the technologies updated. So our channel partner, which is our customer, the same case happens to them. They have definitely the lack of maintaining the high cost manpower to keep the end-to-end level servicing. They will always find the challenges in terms of meeting the working capital. So these additional services, whether it is a financial services, whether it is a managed services, whether it is a logistics like Yopatra is already aware, which is called as a third-party logistics. And those are the differentiators and those are also the common threads for the different brands which you can operate at about. When we go to the investor, we talk about this the differentiator as a valuation which goes to our partners and hence to our vendors. Different geographies will always have the different challenges, like we said, or on the omnichannel we said. Worldwide, the current e-commerce market is almost at 16%. Online retail is almost globally at 16%. In India, still it is at 5%. There is a huge scope to grow there. We provide maybe certain platforms to our vendors or our channel partners who can integrate into that multi-channel. They are into the physical retail. We are looking at how they can go to the e-commerce. How we are looking at how they can get the integration. So, coming back to your question on the B2B segment, even though we are not connected with the customer like you, for us, maybe you are a customer and you are buying to someone like Amazon, you are buying to Flipkart, or maybe you are Vijay Sales, or maybe Reliance Digital also. They are also actually our customers. We sell products to them and we maintain the way of operating in such a way that they don't feel biased that we give the better discount Domino's can't make a difference on the prices on what they are selling to customers and what they are selling to people. It is the same way how we operate. Tomorrow we will not make a differentiation between our channel partners because we are in the very aggregator. We are the in between communication from the vendor to the maybe the second mile as a tier 2 or tier 3 kind of account.
So here we are ending the session. It was indeed a very informative discussion, and I am sure our students certainly got benefited from all the input shared by the panelists.
Thank you so much. Now I would like to call Ms. Komal Kumari for closing the vote of Good afternoon, honorable present here. As all good things come to an end, so is the marketing conflict. I, Komal Kumari, on behalf of Psychology Education Society, take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks to those who have directly and indirectly contributed to this marketing conflict on pandemic and marketing lessons learned organized by our institute. We are thankful to our honorable founder president, Professor Manisha Mundara sir, for his guidance and motivation. I thank our distinguished panel speakers who have spared time from their busy schedule to grace the occasion and for sharing with us their valuable knowledge and opinions. A special thanks to the organizing committee, teaching and non-teaching staff for their unflinching support and coordination. Our heartfelt thanks to the students for their active participation. Thank you very much.